Cardio, Season 1, Episode 4. We are like 8 or 9 weeks into prep right now, and I'm excited to give you updates about my past week, including training, nutrition, cardio, mindset, and energy, both this week and how I feel looking into next week, and other fun updates from the past week. Without further ado, I don't want to ramble on. I've noticed that I can be very loquacious, but I want to jump right into it. So let's do it. My training has not changed. It is the same as last week, and I'm kind of just going to run through the slip because I think that who am I to assume that anybody who's watching this has seen the past episode? So let's run through it. The training plan is currently day 1, glutes, day 2, shoulders, day 3, yoga, 4, upper glutes, 5, back and biceps, 6, glute and hamstrings, 7, arms. And today is Sunday, so today I trained arms. For my nutrition, I have been dropped since last week. My carbs dropped from 165 down to 150. My protein is still at 150, and my fat is at 40. I cannot remember. My fats were definitely at 45 at one point, but I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. But nevertheless, those are where my macros are currently at. And even though they're significantly dropped from when I started prep, I don't really notice because I just kind of shave off a little bit of food off of my meals each time, but I keep eating the same meals. And then I talked a little bit about my meals during the last episode, but essentially I like to just split it up into 3 meals per day, which isn't really like the bodybuilding way, but that's what works well for my schedule. So I have breakfast, I have lunch, and I have dinner, and I just like to feel well fueled for training, and then I like to eat right after training. So I typically just have breakfast before or during the morning when I'm logged on at work. I have lunch somewhere in the middle of the day between my meetings, but far enough away from training so that I'm digested, but close enough that I'm not starving, because no one wants to go into training starving. That is not a fun time. And then after work, after work and after training, I have my final meal when I'm winding down for bed. Let's get into updates with cardio. So cardio has stayed the exact same. So while my macros did drop, my cardio did stay the same, as well as my training. My cardio is still at 5 sessions of 45 minutes of LISS, which by Shelby's, like according to Shelby, is more like MISS. So less low intensity steady state, more moderate intensity steady state, because she likes me to keep my heart rate at 130 or above, which is, for me at least, on the treadmill, like 10 incline at about like 4 to 4.2 speed, straight for 45 minutes. So it takes me a little while for my heart rate to get up, but by the end I'm absolutely drenched. I'll have to post a video of how I looked after yesterday's steady state, because it looks like I just did HIIT. And that's honestly how I feel like it should be. My thought process is that I should be making the most of these sessions, because if not, they're gonna get longer. You know what I mean? So if she prescribes me that much, then I will hit those targets and make sure that I'm checking off that box fully and not just going through the motions, making the most of every single day, every single cardio session, every single training session, because every rep, set, step, they all count. And I don't want to look back and feel like I could have done more. So I'm out here sweating, working my butt off to make sure that when I do step on stage, it's a look that I'm proud of, that she's proud of, that really we're proud of, because I really do feel like it's a team effort. I know this is an individual sport, but she's putting in just as much passion into this as I am, and I want to make us proud. So that's my mindset on that, on cardio in general. And that's the same way that I am with HIIT, which is the perfect segue, because I still have 2 HIIT sessions per week, a 5-minute warm-up, then 8 rounds of 30 seconds on at high intensity, full out sprint, anywhere between 11 and 12 speed, 0 incline. I like to stay more towards 12, but I will say today I was like absolutely beat after arms, and I just felt like some serious prep lows. So I was more like between 11.2, and then my final round was at 12. But I was starting a little bit lower. It took me a little more time to get up to that speed by the 8th round. I would say on the first one I was definitely going at about 11.2, but worked my way up, and I was absolutely still drenched by the end. But you know, some days you can give 100%, but it's not the equivalent to the other days, if that makes sense. I still knew that I was giving 100% of myself, but the 100% of myself the other day was more. I didn't have the best sleep last night. I, for some reason, couldn't get to bed, but I'm still giving 100% there as well. You know, it just might look different on different days. And then after that HIIT session, immediately after, I follow with 20 minutes of steady state. So that is 2 HIIT sessions, 8 rounds with a warm up and a cool down, and 20 minutes of steady state immediately following. Oh, I will say, I don't cool down before the steady state. So 8 rounds and then 20 minutes of steady state immediately after. Last week I talked about how we had gotten a spin bike from the gym because it was secondhand. We got it for a great deal. I did that 2 times this week. I will say that I think that it's best to do a spin class because I'm really able to hit it hard and I feel like I'm guided. And I'm also, there's like a warm-up period I feel like you need with spin. You can't just like get right into it. And the classes take you through it, and they warm you up, and you do hills and you do sprints and you do climbs and everything. And I'm so used to that. But when I tried to do HIIT on it on my own, I felt like I wasn't getting as much out of it as I was when I sprint or I do my HIIT on the treadmill. So I'm probably going to stick to that unless I'm doing like a HIIT class. But I really like to hit my HIIT as prescribed. So I'm probably just going to stick to the treadmill. And then I'll use that for if I have moderate intensity, or, you know, if I need to get extra movement in during the day, kind of like a plan B, because I have been loving the way that what I've been getting out of what I've been putting on the treadmill. So the cardio that I've been doing at the gym has been feeling really good, and I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it without working my quads or anything like that. So I'm probably going to stick to that. But it is really, really nice to have that on hand. And also the spin classes are awesome when I want to switch up cardio or if I'm feeling a little bored. But, you know, honestly, I haven't been feeling as bored on the treadmill because I will turn on my Whoop, I watch my heart rate, and then I put on my music, which has been more like around, I'll like look up 130 beats per minute, like, or put on some like ravey type music that are really like bumping to go along with my heart rate, and just pump it out. I don't know if that sounds weird, but just like bang it out, because I notice if I throw on like a YouTube video or something, I'm not fully in it. Like I'm not intentional about my cardio, and I want to be intentional about it and making sure that my heart rate is on point every single time, and that I am pouring all of myself into it for that moment, and that I'm not thinking of other things, which I know can help the time go faster, but I also don't feel like I'm getting as much out of it, if that makes sense. So anyways, it's what's been making me feel fulfilled, and that's what I'm gonna stick to. The things that I'm still doing daily, there are vacuums prescribed daily, posing daily, stretching daily, and hitting a gallon daily. The one thing that I missed last week and the week before that I have been doing once to twice per week is abs. So she does have it prescribed in, but it's not on a specific day. She said, you know, fit it in when you can. What I like to do is hit abs on my shoulder day and my arm day, because I feel like those definitely take less time than glutes or back and biceps. And I like spending time, you know, like really going through that and make sure that it's not an afterthought, but that I'm truly intentionally training my abs. I have a short torso and it kind of has always been like my problem area. I'm really proud of my legs. I like the way that my arms look on stage while I'm still obviously trying to grow them, and my glutes. But I think that my like problem area, if I was to name it, would be my lower abs. So I'm really trying to be intentional about that this year and putting my all into making sure that they pop, and they're more defined. So we'll see how that goes. I will keep posting these videos, and we'll see the progress in the pictures as well as the videos. So more to come. And ultimately, we'll see how they look on stage, right? Mindset and energy. So for mindset and energy, I have felt very positive this week and overall very focused. Last week, I didn't feel like I was seeing the results in my body, even though I felt like I was dragging and work felt heavy or like intense. I have good work-life balance, but during some of the meetings, things were just a little hectic and a little stressful, and that on top of, the prep, which obviously I chose, but I was just going through it. I think it was, obviously going to the gym 2 times a day and like showering sometimes twice a day. I will admit, sometimes if I hit cardio in the morning and I don't have time, like I'll just switch my clothes out. I mean, diary of an Ifbb Bikini Pro. Hello, we're just gonna be honest here. Like I'll like dry my hair and just like change my outfit and then hop on a call, because you gotta find time where you can, and like I'd rather be like slightly sweaty for a bit than shower at lunch or whatever, so that I'm not late to calls and so I can finish my cardio. So it is what it is. Like, this is prep. So well, admittance there, a little confession, I guess. And that's where I am. I just feel very positive and happy with where we're going. I haven't really been talking about my weight as much, but I think that that's what I felt was holding me back. Like I wasn't seeing my weight on the scale go down as drastically each week. Even though I do see the lines coming out and I see myself getting harder, I just was hoping to see more. But I trust Shelby, so I've been, following the plan, doing it. And as my carbs keep dropping and my cardio has been increasing, I know that it's all going to pay off if I just keep going and trusting the process, because I already trust my coach. So I'm pushing ahead, and yesterday and this morning I felt very gratified because I looked at the scale and I weigh less. Obviously, like, whoa, surprise, why would I be happy? But I weigh less, and I know that I'm not losing so much that I'm losing like tons of muscle. So I think that we're on a good track. I currently weighed in at 128 this morning, and then I felt a little crazy, so I wanted to weigh myself after I hit arms and did my hit, and I was at 127. So I feel like good about where we're progressing. I know like your weight fluctuates throughout the day, but it is nice to see. I know that sounds silly, but it is nice to see, because I feel like we're moving in the right direction. And yeah, it just felt really good to see them on the scale and feel like all my hard work was really paying off. So that is where I am there. I'm very focused, and I have still decided to keep my show date and everything to myself and close to my chest, because I like the peace of mind that it gives me, that no one's saying like, oh, you're X weeks out, like this is how you should be looking, or people don't have comments about that. I feel like that's also secretly and like subconsciously why I haven't been posting a lot on social media, is because I don't want to add this pressure of this like countdown to show day. So I'll probably share it when I'm maybe like 3 weeks out or something, because then there's like no looking back there, but I've been really feeling good, focused, and happy and positive. And I think part of it is because I have this really good peace of mind of staying in my own lane and focusing on what I need to get done each day, instead of focusing on the finish line. So maybe that's a pro tip, I don't know. Like just staying focused and maybe not talking about your show date as much, but more talking about and focusing on the process. Anyways, I thought that was cool, so I wanted to share that. Other updates, so I'll talk a little bit about the weekend, I guess. So yesterday we started watching The White Lotus, which is so good. Season 2, we did watch season 1 already, but season 2 is heating up, and like, if you haven't seen it, you should watch, because it is so good, so good. We also went to Target and we cycled there, and that was really fun. In the morning, I had oatmeal and I watched a little YouTube, and then I hit the gym and I glutes and hams done, and also my 45 minutes of steady state. Then we went on that Target run, and then we watched White Lotus, and Owen made this like really good chicken in the crock pot that kind of was like, I don't know, like maybe chicken, like shredded chicken verde. Anyways, it looked delicious. And then he tried the Ben and Jerry's top tiramisu, and that also looked delicious. But I will say I've always been more of a fish food fan myself. I'm really big into like a mint cookies and cream ones. Anyways, but long story short, we did a Target run. He made some food. It looked delicious. I had my normal meals and we watched the White Lotus and then went to bed. Today we cycled to a coffee shop in the morning. It was absolutely lovely. I might post a picture of it here. And I had a almond milk flat white, and he had a flat white with regular milk and a croissant, which looked awesome. It was a blackberry pistachio croissant, and it's from this great bakery in the city called Neighbor Bakehouse. Anyways, highly recommend if you ever are in San Francisco. And then I went to the gym and I had arms and did my HIIT. And then I met up with a friend who was actually an old coworker of mine at a coffee shop on Valencia called Craftsman and Wolves. And on the way back, we walked back. She actually coincidentally was going to meet friends kind of near where my apartment is. So we walked back together. And on the way back, I got Owen a brownie ice cream sandwich. So it was from this place called Cream, and they have brownies, and then it has cookies and cream, and then I asked them to like dip it in Oreos, so it's like coated, and he loved it. It was a nice surprise. And now we're watching White Lotus, and it is getting spicy, but I wanted to film this really quickly, and then I'm gonna get back into it and continue watching with him, and probably do a little bit of work before tomorrow, and then pack it in for the night. I mean, I still have dinner, but after that, dinner and a little bit of work and White Lotus, and then hitting the hay. So it has been another very successful week of prep, and I am excited to see how this next week goes, because I'm feeling like we're seeing some good progress. I see it in the mirror, I see it on the scale. Shelby's happy, and I will post my pictures up on here somewhere from last week, but I realized I've been showing my pictures from like the next week. So it's kind of weird that I film these like the day before I do my next check-in, because I'm kind of a week behind. But ultimately it's not that much of a difference, like, you know, so I will post up pictures from either today or tomorrow, and posing from today or tomorrow, and maybe some stretching or something, but I think that I would rather do that in a whole separate video, whereas these can just be like my weekly updates about the progress and how everything's going, focus specifically on like the measurable things and the things that have changed, and mindset and updates. So we will do that, and I will sign off for the evening, and I hope that you all have a beautiful week and keep chasing whatever you're chasing, pursuing whatever you're pursuing, doing what makes you happy, because I will be here doing the same. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and comments also include questions. So if you have questions, please leave them below and I will answer them in the next video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I think that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. That's it. I love you all. Anybody who's watching this, I really appreciate you. I don't know who will watch this, who has watched this, but if you do, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, because this journey is a fun one, and I have been enjoying the process so much, and I hope that these videos give you something. I don't know. Let me know. They add a little interest. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I hope that you are liking the process as much as I am. And if you want me to add anything to these weekly updates, again, please comment below. I am more than happy to give other updates. I want this to be as transparent as possible, so let me know what you want to see. Side note, I am so proud of me for being consistent, because I was worried. Okay, see you next week. I can't believe I almost forgot. Peace out, Girl Scouts.